Question number 4, Clayton Mitchell.
Mr. Speaker, my question is to the Associate Minister of Transport and asks, does he have confidence in Maritime New Zealand's management of the safety issues at Taharoa ironsands export operation?
The Honourable Craig Foss.
Mr. Speaker, yes, I do have confidence in Maritime New Zealand's management of the safety of the Taharoa ironsands operation. This is undertaken by the Director of Maritime New Zealand as an independent function of this role.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, Clayton Mitchell.
When was the Minister first informed that the Taharoa single buoy mooring is far beyond its use-by date to be safe and far short of the required loading capacity to cope with the largest vessels ever to come into New Zealand waters?
The Honourable Craig Foss.
I have assurance, Mr. Speaker, from Maritime New Zealand that the buoy that the member refers to is quite safe and adequate for the task that it is doing. There has recently been an audit of which some recommendations came through, and of those 42 recommendations, around 30 have been implemented, 7 of which have been implemented by Maritime New Zealand.
Point of order, Clayton Mitchell.
What I asked was, when was the Minister first informed?
No. The question the member asked was, when was the Minister first informed that the mooring was not safe? The Minister rose to his feet and said he had been informed that the mooring was safe. Further question? Supplementary question, Clayton Mitchell.
When will the buoy be replaced as per recommendations of the recent safety audit, given Australian-owned New Zealand Steel has reported a half-yearly loss of $47.1 million and is currently looking to sell the operation?
Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Craig Foss.
Mr. Speaker, those issues are completely separate. Maritime safety rules do not care who the owner of a particular user or vessel is. The rules are the rules are the rules. As I understand it, there has been a lot of work and upgrading of the existing buoy, and the new replacement buoy has been ordered. I believe it's supposed to be in the country or perhaps in place by the end of this year.
Supplementary question, Clayton Mitchell.
What is the Minister going to do about this known high-risk situation, which maritime experts are referring to as a ticking time bomb and predicting it to be the next Renner disaster, but on a more devastating scale, considering the 3 ships are more than twice her size?
The Honourable Craig Foss.
Mr. Speaker, most of the rhetoric the member refers to relating to incidents prior to, including 2012, on a vessel which was not designed for this purpose. There have been 3 new purpose-designed vessels using the buoy and doing the loading since 2012. There has not been one incident or even one near incident since 2012 of the process using the loading on the buoy.
Yep.
Supplementary question, Clayton Mitchell.
And is he comfortable with the availability and proximity of equipment to respond to any marine disaster at Taharoa? And if so, how does he rationalise that the enormous time it will take for an oil debunkering vessel to reach the disaster zone?
The Honourable Craig Foss.
I acknowledge the member just does not want this operation to happen and quite possibly for New Zealand Steel to close. But, Mr. Speaker, yes, I am confident in the arrangements in and around any emergency or business as usual for the operation.
Question.